Fiyogufuan, Assalamualaikum. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Foremost, I'd like to thank Director Max Alhibe, HECBOL Project Director, and CHED Assistant for Mindanao Affairs for inviting me to speak before you on this Monday's flag raising ceremony and talk about the possibility of all of us joining together in strengthening the higher education programs in the Bangsamoro as envisioned under the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Honorable Mokahir Iqbal, the Minister of the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education of BARM, and Honorable Marjuni Madi, Director General for Higher Education, Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education, BARM, HECBOL family, friends, muli, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. The theme, Padyak, gearing towards the success of Bangsamoro higher education, is very relevant and timely considering that the HECBOL project is the Commission on Higher Education's response to President Duterte's Executive Order number 79 series of 2019, otherwise known as implementing the Annex on Normalization under the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro, which created the Inter-Cabinet Cluster Mechanism on Normalization. CHED is mandated to provide and extend technical assistance to the higher education sector of BARM through the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education, and also work closely with the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the peace process. I am happy that I have been a part of this morning's program because I remember it was months ago that I was invited by no less than Minister Mokahir Iqbal of the Bangsamoro Basic, Higher and Technical Education to shed some insights about the Bangsamoro education system and particularly the establishment of a tribal university in the BARM. These for me are two things HECBOL can intervene and make an impact. Firstly, HECBOL should ensure or help to ensure that the Bangsamoro government's higher education program shall be based on accessibility, inclusivity, and right to quality education. Just like what we call in CHED the Adamat or Adamat doctrine, where our higher education shall guarantee for a wider accessibility to all aspiring students, hoping that no more hindrance examinations. Secondly, HECBOL should dirty its hands when BARM establishes the tribal university system. I'd like to note that the tribal university system is my brainchild when this was incorporated in the organic law when I was still a member of the Regional Consultative Commission. And I like to note further that the tribal university system is in consonance with the Bangsamoro Organic Law and the general principles of Republic Act 8371, otherwise known as the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act of 1997, which both were enacted to provide relevant education and introduce learning experiences that will redound to the holistic well-being of the non-Moro indigenous peoples, including also the Moro indigenous peoples. Though by operation of law, the tribal university shall be under the BARM Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education in coordination with the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs. HECBOL may help to shape, modify, and improve. HECBOL can provide relevant recommendation and direction, especially in terms of adapting curricula that are based from the mainstream educational system with specialization on peace education and indigenous peoples education, including the Moro or Muslim education, that shall promote, preserve, protect, and sustain the rights, self-governance, empowerment, social justice, cultural integrity, and history of the non-Moro indigenous peoples, including the Moro indigenous peoples, vis-a-vis the issues of peace in Mindanao. Madami akong advokasya sana para sa HECBOL. Ngunit itong dalawa na ang aking nabanggit ang closest to my heart. Thus, if we want HECBOL's higher education agenda in the BARM to succeed, we should learn to pajak and push our way together with our Muslim and indigenous peoples in the name of an accessible, inclusive, quality higher education in the BARM. As I have said in so many of my speeches, and I quote myself, education must be grounded on values. Education without values will not amount to the upright transformation of a person. I am proud to say that the leadership of Chairman De Vera, the Pajak King, had inspired and challenged all of us in CHED to work hard and come up with 2 CHED Memorandum Orders, CMO number 1 series of 2019, otherwise known as the integration of peace studies or education into the relevant higher education curricula, and CMO number 2 series of 2019, otherwise known as integration of indigenous people studies education into the relevant higher education curricula, that HECBOL can introduce to BARM's Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education's overall education program. Parang pangalan at apelyado yan, hindi maaring magkahiwalay. When we talk of peace, we talk about the impact of discrimination, greed, and conflict in people's lives, especially among marginalized peoples such as the IPs in Muslim Mindanao. When we talk of peace in the conditions of the Bangsamoro, we talk about unity of peoples in Mindanao, unanimity of actions, harmony of ideas, solidarity of minds. When we talk of indigenous peoples against the backdrop of the Bangsamoro, we talk of their rights as a people, their aspirations, their culture, their contributions to national development. Henceforth, I leave with you my challenge to pajak together to support and speed up the delivery of a strong and relevant higher education agenda in the context of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. I would like to close my talk with one of my quotes in my book entitled 100 and More Inspiring Quotes to Live By, and it runs this way: if you do something important, don't do it alone. Thank you very much. Fiobagi and mabuhay.